Hey guys, Mustached Tom here to review the movie If. So I've seen the trailer for this movie plenty of times, and I was getting a little bit annoyed by them, I won't lie. But I decided to check out the movie anyway and see how it would fare as objectively as possible. With that being said, let's dive right into it. So the movie opens up with a little narration told by a main character named B, who is the same actress who plays the young girl in the Walking Dead series. So she is definitely a young actress to look out for. She definitely carries this movie relatively throughout. And Ryan Reynolds, well, his performance is so shockingly, well, Ryan Reynolds. He has done acting once before, believe it or not. And if you don't believe me, look at the movie Buried. That is easily his best performance in any movie I've ever seen, but I've not seen a performance quite like that from him ever since, so there's that. Anyway, getting back on track, we follow this young girl named B, who is around 12 years old. We learn relatively early on that her mom has passed away and that her dad is having some sort of medical procedure to help with his heart. And in order to cope with this, she inevitably is looking around the hospital when she's investigating, and eventually sees this unlikely figure who is this other, or one of these imaginary friends. The movie, of course, plays this more whimsically rather than a horror because of the genre. I mean, you could replace it with horror music, and there is a lot of those cliches even packed within it, but again, it plays off much more, again, whimsically for said purposes through the music and whatnot. So she buys a camera, or finds one. I believe she buys one. And after doing the said investigations, she comes across again that same figure and decides to follow the second time around when she notices there is movement afoot and witnesses them trying to help place one of the ifs, as what they're called in this movie, as the movie is promptly titled, to find their proper place among the kids. And the movie takes quite an, I would probably say, a predictable, I suppose, curve, as it were. Now, I won't lie, when I was watching this entire movie, I kept being reminded of Foster's Home for Imaginary Kids, or Friends, sorry. That series was definitely something that I was thinking throughout, especially when they begin to explore the little underground secret facility area in the middle of the movie here, where she begins to investigate with Ryan Reynolds' character named Cal. And there does seem to be a lot of hints early on that there's something a little bit more, something going on, where they keep implying that she's been here before. Meaning that she might have, been this. A lot of this could be the unreliable narrator, as in she's just literally imagining these things. And that seems to be quite the sentiment to a degree, though they do begin to at least help out two adults where they, the prior, imaginary friends to the adults who made them once they were kids, to have them reunite with the imaginary friend that made that, the person, that made that imaginary friend. It happens twice in the movie, And it happens to probably the two most prominent imaginary friends in the movie, the big purple guy named Blue, and the ladybug character who belongs to her own grandma. And those scenes are quite touching, as it were. And again, the movie does have quite a few emotional beats to go along with it in that way. And again, a lot of that is carried by her performance rather than Ryan Reynolds here. So there's that. And lo and behold, when things come to, when they're initially trying to place them with other kids and seeing if that would work out, and that fails, so it shifts to the adults, as I mentioned, and that's what begins to work. And later, we find out that Cal, near the end, is indeed also an imaginary friend, which is, again, hinted very loosely throughout the movie and confirmed near the end of the movie. And seems to follow much of her mannerisms in terms of her attitude throughout the movie, which is probably the biggest hint that the imaginary friend belongs to the person. So, the dramatization of the father having the heart attack comes underway, or having his surgery complete, or whatever it was, to have her get there and be mournful that, another terrible thing could happen once again, only to have him awaken and have everything have a nice, happy button ending to it, because of course, a movie like this would have a more optimistic looking ending to it. So, as we see him more so helping other ifs throughout the end of the portion of the movie, and so on and so forth, and finding their original creators to, again, re-spark that sort of childhood moment so that they can have a moment in their adulthood that is, sort of attached to it, I suppose is the best way of putting that. And that is pretty much the movie of If, and, I could easily see this being reworked to seriously be, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I keep wanting to say kids for some reason. But yeah, it definitely reminds me of that show. You have a young kid who has an imaginary friend. He goes there every day, and, you have the whole different story there, but I feel like there's definitely a lot, or some portions of that series that definitely kind of remind me, especially again in that middle portion when they're in that building that is very wonky. They have this little imaginative, portion where they have a little tap dance number, and, Ryan Reynolds is going through the motions of, also being in a dance performance thing kind of going on there. So yeah, there's definitely a lot going on. And again, I think even in that segment, there are obvious hints that the fact that he is able to go through all of these things and be affected in the way that he is only further demonstrates that he is indeed that other if, because I don't think that would have ever happened to a person, as it were. And anyway, so I think that this movie is fine. I think that she does a lot of, again, that heavy lifting for the movie. She carries the emotional beats very effectively. And of course, these characters are playing off of, CGI in this case. So there's very much that, making sure that the interactions, when they are interacting, look, nifty, or like the interactions actually are happening to the degree that it looks convincing enough, I suppose. And, I think that there's an acceptability to the accepting that these cartoons are, gotta be that way. But man, does this movie just, I don't know, it kind of makes me want a live action, I guess, Foster's Home kind of movie, like a prequel to set it up or something. And I feel like this could be like the ushering in of that type of, And of course, they do, in that series, there was a lot more focus on the replacement method of it, and having that actually be the effective method of it. And I do like this outcome as well. I do think that there is merit to having it both ways. So yeah, I definitely think that that's interesting. And, I think a lot of the comedy for me kind of is a little meh. But again, I think the dramatization is what really carries the motion of a good chunk of this movie. So yeah, I think I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. And yeah, that's pretty much my review of the movie If. And if you ended up enjoying it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. Want to head over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers, so get to my PayPal where you can help support me and my channel directly, and there to my Discord server where we join collab, shield, all that cool stuff. And until next time, everyone, bye bye.